So I'm going to do something a little bit different today, a little peek behind the scenes in case any of you out there were curious as to how I create my content. Maybe you were looking for some inspiration. Maybe this is just something that you've been thinking about doing yourself. Well, I'm going to show you pretty thoroughly how I make. So the first bit of information here is that I do film on a Sony Alpha 6100 camera, but I don't film in a traditional sort of way, right? So I don't just have my camera set up and then reach up there and hit record. I don't do that at all. I'm actually using this camera as a webcam on my computer, and it's being run through something called an Elgato HD60, and that is kind of an expensive way to do it, but it does work really well. My dogs are playing next to me. If you heard some sort of scuttling sounds, that's going to be what that is. So let's first off take a look at that HD60. Basically what this thing does is it allows you to have an HDMI input shown as a webcam or as a source in OBS, which is the software used to record. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. And it is a little bit on the pricey side, right? So we're looking at about $160 or $200 for the newer version. However, there are other options to do this. You can actually just use this USB capture card. In fact, if you've ever seen me showing footage of like a laptop or a phone, a lot of the time, this is what I'm using to capture that footage. I use this thing all the time, and it's not as good as the HD60, but for $20, link in the description, it's absolutely fantastic. And I've got it right here in case you were wondering if I was full of it or not. It is right here. I keep this thing plugged into my computer all the time, and it works great. As for the microphone, you can see it right here. Let me turn it towards you. You can see that it is a Blue Yeti, which I have been using for a long time. It's a USB microphone, and it works really well. You've got a volume knob up there for headphones, which I never use. There's a mute button. If I turn it around this way, you can actually see some settings here like gain and the ability to change my cardioid. So basically right now I have it so it's only recording what's in front of it, not recording what's behind it as well. And this thing's about $100 on Amazon as well. It links to all this stuff in the description, so I don't have to just keep saying this stuff over and over. Really, really good microphone. You can obviously hear exactly how it sounds. I do have a foam pop filter on top of it as well, but you really don't even need one. It works really well without it. At some point, I do need to get a shock mount so that when I hit my table, it's not quite as audible through that. I think that would kind of take care of that, but I have not done that quite yet. And of course, it is attached to a microphone boom arm, of which I actually have 4 of these. One for the microphone here, one for my camera, one that is attached to a ring light up there, which I will show you, and then another one holding a phone pointed down as a webcam, which works like this so that I can show you guys stuff looking down. Again, I'm going to show you all of this stuff as well, but this is a really good cheap boom arm. It's like $13. It's got everything you need really to make these things work. You may need an adapter for a proper camera like I'm using, because my camera, obviously it's a different size mount to a microphone, but there are adapters for that are really cheap. So just make sure if you need one, make sure to get one. And that boom arm, if you get that adapter, you could put up, a C920 or some webcam up there. It just isn't going to look nearly as good as my camera here, because it's an actual proper camera. So that you can now get a look of exactly how all this looks from my perspective here. There is my camera up there attached to one of those mounts. There is a OnePlus 7 Pro acting as that downward facing camera. There is the ring light also attached to a boom arm, and then of course the microphone attached to a boom arm as well. And this is what I'm seeing as I'm doing this stuff, right? So if I click on, basically I've got all these different setups over here that I will cycle through. So if I hit picture in picture, that's going to give me that. I just kind of have these two snapped side by side, so I could do things like that. That goes back to my main. I've got one for the Droid Cam facing down. I've got one that will show my other screen over here in full screen if you need to see that. I've got one that is full screen video, which what it does is it basically just zooms in on this portion of the screen. Instead of being picture in picture, it'll just zoom in on that one spot and kind of blow it up. Shout out to Ike's Tech Talk here. Definitely go give him a sub as well. Of course, if you don't know what this software is I'm using, Streamlabs OBS is what it's called, and you kind of got a little bit of a look there. I'm not going to do like a full OBS tutorial here, because there's that exists a million times over already on the internet. If you want to kind of understand how all this stuff works, it's pretty easy to find out on your own. but there is the link to the actual software itself. And this will allow you to do all kinds of fun stuff, not only recording, which is what I do. I don't really live stream from OBS, but if I do a live stream, I do it all from exactly here. Oh, I did actually fail to point out, I use a Stream Deck, which I will also show you a link to here in just a second. And it's really cool as well because I've got it set up with only 2 folders because I don't do a lot with it. But one of them is for NVIDIA, so I can record gameplay and so forth. And the other one is for OBS, which will allow me to very quickly change between those same scenes, right? If I hit picture in picture here, it's going to switch to that. I'm going to go back to main and it's going to go back to that. And it will allow me to start or stop recording, so forth and so on. That's a really cool, useful tool to have as well. And here is the link to that Stream Deck Mini. Obviously, you can do a lot more stuff with it than what I do. I keep it pretty simple, but it's nice that, you know, if I'm recording, I can just reach up here and hit stop recording or change scenes or whatever without having to actually grab my mouse, move my cursor, and find it. I use both, but it is useful to have that as well. What about the phone facing down as a webcam? How does that work? Well, that is an app called Droid Cam. In fact, in the Google Play Store, look for Droid Cam X. That's the version I use. It has the most features and so forth. And if you simply just Google Droid Cam, you're going to get this website here, Dev47 Apps. You're going to download a client that it will run off of. I'll show you what the client looks like now. And it will allow you to change the resolution, to zoom in or zoom out, and change if it's on autofocus continuous or not. You can lock exposure, and it works really well. It's a one-time purchase. I think it's relatively cheap. I bought it years ago, never really used it, and now for this purpose, I'm using it quite a bit. And for unboxings and stuff, it works really well. One thing I'm going to have to start remembering to do, and I always forget to do this, is if I'm doing this overhead look, and this is something I would encourage you guys if you're going to try to do this, to remember to do. If you're looking down like this, things look a little bit blown out, right? If I bring it up here, it'll focus and it looks pretty good. But if you're down here a little bit further away, if I can just start remembering to just lower my brightness a little bit, like not quite all the way, but down a little bit, that does seem to help as far as the appearance goes. And then when I bring it up, it still looks okay. So that's something I continually forget to do because I'm a forgetful person and I don't realize that I've forgotten to do it until I am editing and it is far too late for me to worry about it. At that point, I'm not going to go back and re-record that portion of the video again. I guess I can also show you a little bit more of a behind the scenes peek in terms of how I make my thumbnails too. Why not? Let's just reveal all the secrets that we have here. So whenever I'm going to make my thumbnail, there are 2 websites that I use. I do not have Photoshop. I don't pay for any sort of photo editing software. There is no need to because there is a website called Pixlr, Pixlr.com, and I actually there's like a more advanced version and a simpler version, and I bounce back and forth. This is Pixlr X, the kind of like simpler version, but you can use either one, and I'm not going to bother showing you the more advanced one. This is all you're going to really need to know right now. But if you want to use the other one, it's just called Pixlr E. And if you click up here, you've got the option to go to either one, but we're going to stick with Pixlr X for now. So let's look at my News Radar video. So I basically just have a template here. And when I want to make a new thumbnail, I'll just go in here and I will delete that layer. I will probably hide that layer because I'm going to change the text. I will then open up my camera app on my computer. I will grab a phone or whatever, and I'll do some kind of like a pose. And then I am probably good with that. I'll close that. Then I go to another website called remove.bg. This is also a very bright white background. Let's go ahead and make that easier to look at with an extension. And then I will drag that thumbnail, the picture I just now took rather, over. It will use AI to cut out the background. Did a pretty good job there. Now I remember why I wasn't using that extension, because that black and white checkerboard makes my eyes want to cry. You can see it kind of screwed that up a little bit. You can click on edit here and do restore, and let's zoom in a little bit, and we can kind of bring the duo back, and then we can, sometimes you got to do a little bit of fixing here, right? Sometimes it's not totally perfect. At that point, you can either download it. If you've had to edit it, you got to download it, unfortunately. I'm just going to copy it. So I'm going to right click and hit copy image, go back over to Pixlr. Let's get rid of that. And I'm going to paste it in. You can drag this around. You can do text and all kinds of things and save it when you're done. And the cool thing is that you can keep multiple there. So I've got a News Radar one and I've got a normal one. And what I'll do is I'll keep all my different possible backgrounds that I use in here. and I'll just cycle through them. You can move layers around and so forth. You can do text. There's all sorts of text options. Works really well. So when you pair that with remove.bg to cut out, an image or whatever, it works really, really well. I've been using this for most of the time I've been making my custom thumbnails. So another really handy tool that I'm not sure how much it helps or not. YouTube has a section for tags, right? And I've experimented with some videos not putting any tags in, some videos really doing a lot of tags. I can't really tell any difference in terms of traffic, but if you really want to make sure you're doing everything you possibly can on your YouTube channel, there's a really cool website called rapidtags.io. And again, links to all this. And what you will do is you'll put in the title of your video and just hit search. And it's going to give you a whole bunch of tags. You just click copy and you paste them in and you're done making your tags. I think that's everything I can think of. If it's helped you guys out, maybe some of y'all are budding YouTubers as well. Maybe some of this will be interesting or useful to you. Let me know some of the tips and tricks you've got down below too. Maybe we'll kind of just cross-pollinate here, share a little bit of wisdom and some information here, and we'll all grow and get better together. So guys, I'll be back to my normal tech videos after this video. Just a little quick side detour I thought you guys might find interesting. Stay tuned for more content. It won't be much like this at all. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.